That's right. Jeff Kung and Jason Chu here. All right, so we need to talk about something that has been pretty much blowing up my feed. Speed, the streamer influencer.
iShowSpeed.
iShowSpeed. The guy's been running around China. He's been doing tours. He's been learning kung fu. He's been performing. He's doing clips, skits, everything. And it's a beautiful thing to see. What have you seen so far?
Dude, what I've seen is him just hanging out with Chinese people. And that's what I really honestly, I love this kid. I feel like what he's doing is such a great example of when you don't know a culture. He's not pretending to be an expert. He's not, bringing he's just genuinely going over, having a good time with an open mind.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see.
I really love what he's doing over there because, on our last show, we did a segment about a few other streamers, Johnny Somali, so-and-so, some guys in Japan, who go and try to do rage bait, disrespectful content for clicks. And it's really got the clear juxtaposition of two different ways to approach going to a foreign land and doing social media. It proves to you that you don't have to do disrespectful or smut content to be able to get views. You're able to be respectful, yet still do entertaining content that's able to bridge two cultures versus put a divide through them. And it's similar to when we were talking about the whole Red Note TikTok ban, that issue, where it's shed a light into a culture that people may have had misconceptions about. In that respect, I think he's doing a service to pretty much all of his followers, the Chinese people and American people and Western cultures at large,
One thing I see whenever I talk about race online is people go, oh man, Asia's so anti-black, China's so anti-black.
Yeah.
From people who've never been there.
Yeah.
You and I both, we were American kids living in Beijing. China doesn't always understand the West. Chinese people don't always understand black people and where they come from. We've had friends face ignorance. But I think, honestly, 99% of the time, maybe more, like 99.9% of the time, there's no malice or violence. There's curiosity. And I'd say it's a similar thing. People also say, man, black people are so anti-Asian. There's so much violence. There's so much crime. You and I, we both grew up in hip hop. 99.9% of the time, when I've gone to Leimert Park, when I've gone to Crenshaw, I've been to Compton, South Central, the Bronx, everywhere. Everyone's chill. People might not know who you are. They might be like, yo, what are you doing coming around? But I think that we let certain voices and stereotypes about how people relate dominate the conversation online. When if you actually just get out there face to face with people, 99.9% of the time you realize people are different and just curious about the differences that we have between us.
It brings me back to a time when you and I both were living there. And I have a story about one of my friends who actually is a friend of the pod who watches the show. His name is Clarence Mitchell. What's up, dude? African-American guy, visited me in China. And I think when he visited, he did have a few trepidations worries about when he did arrive there, would things feel different? And I feel like he definitely experienced something that maybe he's never experienced before. Now, what was that? So when we would go to take him to like some landmarks, the Great Wall, for example, there was a lineup of people who were looking at him and going, wow. Number two, he had a huge afro. So people were looking at his hair, trying to touch his hair. And in fact, there were people lining up to take photos with him. They handed them their Chinese baby from the countryside to take a photo with him. He got a kick out of it. And I think he was still trying to process, all right, is this racist? Is this not? How should I feel about it? And, at the end of the day, I think we came to the conclusion was, yes, in some ways there is a racism aspect, but it's racism not from hatred, but really more from, call it ignorance or unfamiliarity. Because they only seen people like you. Remember, Asia is a largely homogenous society. So they may have not seen you until today. They've seen you in movies, they've seen you in music videos or online. And, coming from a small countryside, the immediately thought is, oh, let me give you my baby and take a photo with you.
Xenophobia is not racism. Ignorance is not racism, right? Racism is when there's this structural power component that hurts and harms people who are different. But China, I'm not going to say that China doesn't have power dynamic issues, but what I will say is that race in China has worked so differently. China didn't enslave Africans. China didn't kidnap Africans and bring them on boats to work for free and to be property. And so you can't take behaviors and cultural expectations from the US and apply them one to one. What you've got to understand is ignorance is an opportunity to build bridges, ignorance and curiosity, as long as it doesn't get weaponized by people and by social systems that want to keep people separated and want to keep people at each other's throats.
And as it pertains to Black, Asian, let's say a lot of misconceptions between the two cultures, as you and I in hip hop in China, when we would bring like a rapper like OG Mako, rest in peace. But he would come to China.
R.I.P.
Right? And every rapper was super admiring him the whole time, following him, getting, wanting to learn more about hip hop, the culture. Kanye West, well, that's not a good example. But there's a lot of people who, Travis Scott's going to China soon as well. So there's a lot of, not just African American, but, every race of people that go to China and kind of open their eyes to something they've never seen before. And that goes back to the iShowSpeed content that he's doing that I'm so encouraged about. Like, he literally went to, I'm not sure if it was a Shaolin temple, but he went to go learn Kung Fu with a master. He obviously, is athletic, and he went on I think he went on some show, a live stage show where he was showing his Kung Fu moves, like that he learned, and doing backflips, and, the Chinese audience in awe of it. Clapping and screaming and, giving him all his flowers because, again, back to the red note thing, it's finally where in Asia or China, a lot of people have been learning about the Western culture for such a long time, to see it go the opposite way and have someone of such notoriety like an iShowSpeed show up in China and show respect for the culture and actually more try to learn about it more and show people a side that they haven't seen before, is a really beautiful thing. And I think we should encourage that.
Yeah, man, exactly. So don't be a Johnny Somali. Don't go places that you don't belong to try to troll it, to try to mock it, to try to bully it. Do be a Speed.
Yeah.
Be like Speed, the way he's going around the world. And he doesn't know everything about everywhere he's going, but he's going with an open heart. He's going not assuming that people are going to be mean or that they're there for him to use, but he's going and he's just meeting people.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
Not for nothing, Speed. If you are watching this, please come on the show and, share your experience in China. We would love to hear it. All right?